Hi, I'm Richard Olley of Kingswood Training Services. Over the last 6 years we've established a great reputation for delivering tree surgery courses designed specifically for service leavers. Our combination course provides 6 nationally recognised certificates in all the skill areas required by law, and also a business studies project for those who aspire to be self-employed. Before we look at the course in more detail, I'd like to run through exactly what tree surgery is. There are literally millions of trees in the UK which need to be maintained in a safe and healthy condition. They have to be climbed, inspected and worked on to keep them safe. If you are looking for a job that requires teamwork, fitness and a love of the outdoors, keep watching. The course at Kingswood has been specifically designed to give you all the skills you need to get employment or to go self-employed if that's your intention. They are all very practical units and they will enable you to perform a range of tasks from felling trees in a forest to using a chainsaw up in the canopy of a tree. Let's take a look at the individual units. Day 1 starts with the chainsaw maintenance and cross-cutting. This unit is known in the trade as CS30. You will learn how to strip down a chainsaw, service it, reassemble it, then sharpen the chain. You will then use the saw to cross-cut timber. The course also covers a variety of health and safety issues, including risk assessment and how to choose the correct personal protective equipment. Next comes felling small trees. This unit is known as CS31. The name is somewhat misleading because the definition of a small tree is one which has a diameter less than 380 mm, but a tree that size could be 20 metres high or more. You will be taught about site safety and how to use a standard felling cut to fell a tree exactly where you want it to go. You will then learn at least 2 specialist cuts to enable you to fell trees that lean back slightly or forward severely. Sometimes trees will accidentally become hung up, which means that they become lodged in another tree, and we'll teach you how to get them down safely. You will be assessed on CS30 and CS31 by an independent assessor, and he will ask you questions to establish your level of understanding, and then he'll ask you to fell 2 trees safely using the cuts you have learnt. You will then watch as you remove the branches and cross-cut and stack the logs. Here at Kingswood, we are very proud that 95% of our candidates pass their assessments at the first attempt. The next 2 units follow a slightly different format known as Integrated Training and Assessment. They are Lantra courses entitled Use of Wood Chipper and Use of Stump Grinder. The Wood Chipper course. Tree surgery can produce a tremendous volume of leafy waste which needs to be processed, and the machine that we use is a wood chipper. They come in various sizes from domestic units right through to gigantic machines which devour whole trees in minutes. For training purposes we use a medium-sized machine which is typical of the size used by most tree surgeons. They will chip a 6-inch diameter branch at over a foot a second, so they definitely need to be used safely. We start off in looking at how the machines work and how to service them before going on site. Next we look at start procedures and safety checks, and then the instructor demonstrates the use of the machine before overseeing its use by candidates. The instructor will then review the day, checking that the candidates have fully understood all the main points before hopefully issuing them with certificates. Once the tree has been felled, it will leave a stump at or just above ground level. In some areas these can be left to rot naturally, but in others they will need to be removed. This would be a very difficult job without the right machine, but stump grinders make light work of it. As with chippers, they come in many different shapes and sizes, but what they all have in common is a flywheel with a set of tungsten teeth which simply beats the stump to pieces. We train with a very common type called a pedestrian stump grinder. The course follows the same layout as a day on wood chippers, with a session in the workshop covering maintenance and tooth replacement, before an on-site session where everyone has a chance to try their hand at developing the necessary skills and techniques. The instructor then checks that the candidates have gained the necessary level of skill and understanding before issuing certificates. In the third week of the course, we start the climbing and rescue session. This course is delivered in 2 modules. Candidates first have to learn to climb, and then they learn how to perform an aerial rescue. Like all the other courses, this one starts with a theory session. It is essential to understand how the climbing system is put together, and to learn to tie a variety of knots. We also look at a few bits of relevant legislation, and consider how they apply to tree climbing. The practical session then begins with candidates starting off climbing to the lower branches and getting used to the system before graduating to higher branches and bigger trees. They then learn to walk out along the branches away from the stem. When they feel confident doing this, they undertake simulated rescues of an injured climber. There are in fact 4 different rescue scenarios to learn, including one where the casualty is up a pole on climbing spikes. These rescues are actually timed during the assessment to make sure that the candidate is competent to perform a real rescue in a reasonable time. The final practical unit is using a chainsaw in a tree. This is where you will put all your skills together and learn to use a chainsaw safely in the canopy. Adhering to clear safety guidelines is absolutely essential. And after a theory session which explains the do's and don'ts, the climbers ascend separate trees to learn to make a variety of cuts. Some of the cuts are designed to make the branches free fall away from the climber, and others allow the climber to put the saw away before snapping the branch off and throwing it into a designated drop zone. The final day of the course is taken up with climbing assessments. Again, an independent assessor comes in and checks the candidate's knowledge and abilities over the whole spectrum of skills they have learnt. We always explain that passing these assessments is like passing a driving test. It doesn't make you an expert overnight, but it does give you the basic skills to start work safely and begin to gain experience and real competence. This DVD has shown you the range of practical skills covered by our tree surgery course. We also fit in a few days of relevant work experience so that you can see how the skills you have learnt are used on an everyday basis. While you are with us, you will also be helped to formulate a business plan covering basic accounts, marketing, legal issues, and financial projections. Not everyone will want to run their own business, but quite a high percentage of people do just that. Well over 1,000 service leavers have used their LCAS funding to attend this course, and whilst many of them have chosen to work for established companies, many hundreds of others have set up their own successful tree surgery businesses. The choice is yours. I hope you found this overview of our course interesting. We look forward to hearing from you if you like a challenge.